One of the best kept secrets in the tech tree right now is this tier 8 British Heavy Tank, the Caernarvon, which when I originally played through on my way to the FV215B was terrible. So it had an okay bouncy turret. It had a 20-pounder gun that had 230 alpha. It was worse in every way than the tier 8 British medium tank, the Centurion 1. So, you had all of the disadvantages of being a heavy and none of the advantages of being a heavy, and the Centurion 1 was not exactly an amazing medium tank at tier 8, and this thing was worse than it. So I, like the Black Prince, etc., I pushed my way through it. And then a while back, I'm watching Nick Shocks. He's talking about how great it is, and I take a look, and it's got this updated 32-pounder gun, which has an increased alpha amount. I believe it's 280 average. And it has about the most ridiculous DPM in the game, at least for a tier 8 tank. So here I've got a bunch of my, the overpowered premiums. So 703-2, Defender, and a Renegade, just for comparison. And armor-wise, it still has the toughest turret. Best if you're actually looking down your gun. If you're not looking down your gun, if you're on a flat, it is kind of flattening, can be penned. Obviously, 254 is still pretty good, but it's much better when you're looking down at somebody. But take a look here at the DPM. None of these tanks even comes close. What's the next best? The Renegade, most recent premium tank at 2,577 with my crew and loadout, etc. But nothing comes close to this 3,375 DPM. And the aim time, best in class. Best in class, negative 10 degrees of gun depression. Doesn't have the best elevation, but 18 is totally workable. That's not a problem. But this is an absolutely staggering amount of DPM. And the penetration isn't bad either, and its APCR rounds are pretty nice. So, now that it's actually knocking out 280 alpha, and it's lighting off a shot less than 5 seconds, this thing is dumb. Absolutely dumb. So I'm not telling you to play it. You shouldn't play it. Don't play it. But I'm going to play it. I'm going to play it a lot. And I finally had what I'd say is a really good game in it. Certainly the best game I've ever had in it, in all of the games that I've had in this thing. And I was lucky. I was on stream. I wasn't the streamer. So I'm in the background, humbly going about my work, doing what I can do. And I saw Sand River was the map, and I thought, that's a lot of ridges. I can do some work there. So let's take a look. Hey there, tankers. Here we are on Sand River as promised, and we are in a Tier 9 game. So Tier 8s, Tier 9s. And Sand River is actually one of my favorite maps whenever I've got one of these ridge monsters, such as I happen to have here in the Caernarvon. My compatriots don't have the same luck. So I'm here playing with Damien's Gaming. Thanks for having me. And his pal Brett, who's in the SU-130 PM. And Damien's decided he's going to take his 703 toot down the middle, the canyon, and Brett is going to head up north and try to get some snipes in. So I'm taking my usual route with bendy tanks that have unhappy, sad guns. Sad, very depressed. Over here to the south. And I hope I'm not going to be pounded into oblivion before I can get into a good position. So it looks like a lot of their team is actually pounding up in the north. We've got a couple of their heavy tanks who are in the canyon, the river that this is named after, the Sand River, the River of Sand. And there's a VK. There's a VK, a blocky. Look, it's side on. If I can get there in time, it's side on. It's a beautiful sight. It's side on. It's side on, and it's turned. Okay, but at least it's a slabby. Not really a good pen marker there, but you never know if you're going to damage a module. And I've got my nice little only showing my. Oh, so I switched my ammo to the spendy type, and I've got. And look, he turned to look at me. Isn't that sweet? And he takes one in the face. Now I'm going to low roll a lot in this. Oh, that was a high roll, so I can't kill it. So 280 is my alpha average. Oh, look, he's getting smart and he's angling, and I still flung one at him. Now, I could, it wouldn't be a good idea, I could try to snipe that cupola. The cupola on that VK is terrible, but sometimes I just hope to knock off modules, and be annoying, and make him walk around with his head turned sideways. come the entire length of the desert with his head looking for helicopters or mirages or date trees. So, all right, I hope I don't do too much more of that. In any case, it's shaping up. Now this Basante comes over here, and he doesn't have a whole lot of armor. So while I get coming over here and wanting flexibility, he really does have quite a few tanks that are pointing at him. So he does the smart thing, and he's keeping his head down. He's keeping his head down. And there's a death on your side. We lost our eyes already. We lost our EBR, and they lost their EBR. So, good trade. Good trade. Now we can play this as God intended without these wheelie boys bastarding up the entire map. All right, we're off to a slow start. The Caernarvon is the slowest of the Tier 8 light tanks that I showed earlier. It is the slowest by quite a bit. Its top speed is abysmal. It has actually the highest engine power, 810 horsepower, but its actual top speed is restricted because British reasons. Yes, British reasons. Well, we decided it just because. Well, we've gotten rid of the cruiser and the infantry tank, groupings, but we'll still just don't really see the reason to have these things running around all over the place and, people blowing out engines or destroying the tracks in bad conditions. So we're just gonna. Oh no, I'm bouncing. Oh, but we get this nice, lovely view of the SU-130 PM, and I have the wrong ammunition loaded. But I'm just gonna go for it because he might, back up and disappear, and we can just take him out. That's cool. That's a gigantic gun, no longer pointing at us. Now, I often can have some shots from up on this part looking down into the river, but I don't now, and I have plenty to look at right in front of me. And look, Centurion 7-1, you're a ridgeline monster as well. Why aren't you behind a ridgeline? Why are you out in the open? What are you doing there? And I keep shooting at that lower plate, and it's angled, and it's just not going to work. And I do finally work it out. It just takes me a long time, because I'm old and I'm slow, and I don't like to change, apparently, that much. And so, no, a little more. Now, one nice thing, too, is if you have the, if you are looking down at somebody, your upper plate is actually, when it's angled, can get up to close to 600 millimeters of thickness because of the angle. So, good luck with that, Cent 7-1. If I peek a little too far, they're going to get my lower plate, which will be cheese. It's only got enough foil covering the lower plate to just make sure that HE shells go off. So not a good idea for me to move too far ahead. So I'm really trying to watch that. Also, I don't know when one of their tank destroyers is going to get smart and move off of the zero line and actually move up to take shots at us as we're pulling your, mediums and their heavies apart. Let's just get rid of him. Just finish him. Now you can snipe the cupola because he goes, and the Basante decides now's the time to run away. Well, now is not the time to run. Oh, he's not running away. He's actually going to. Oh, he's flanking. He's going after our standard B. Well, let's see how that works out for him. No, that's not a good idea. Didn't work out. You just gave up, panicked, got frustrated. Not sure what was going on there. Now the 7-1, I'm hoping I can track him in place or something like that. And then, well, it's coming. Here it is. The 430 says, I want to play too. I'm going to help. Look, I'm helping. So I'm all ready for that. And so they turn to face the 430. And the 430, well, we get a little ram here. And then the Centurion one scoots away. But, no. So it's 5-2. Yes, I've been spamming a lot of gold ammunition. And I don't care. I'm at 3,247 damage. I'm at 4 kills. Worth it. Worth it. It's terrible if you spam gold and you lose. But I don't mind paying for a good result. And this turns out to be a pretty good result. Alright, so it's 5-2. They're down to 10 tanks. And I can see most of them. But we know that there's a Stritzfang that's not yet been spotted. So he's obviously being a cunt and hiding somewhere way too far in the back to actually be of use. Well, he's got a kill, so he's not going to... Oh, and he takes a shot into me. Ooh. And I bounce off of him, because that totally makes sense. And what caliber is a 32-pounder anyway? That's hard math to do for overmatching. Anyway, he gave me his belly. If he stayed up there, he'd probably have to face more guns, but... Alright, let's work on these heavy tanks. And I did notice there's the Charioteer on my top right, but I'm just going to ignore him, hoping that he's looking north. No, he's running away. Let's take a pot shot on him on the way out. And now this ridge, if you plan it correctly, there's actually rocks just below where I'm pointing my gun. So I'm hoping that the Conqueror can only see my turret. I hope. And it appears that he bounced off my lovely turret. And we can just start to work over the top of this rock when I can and try to keep his tracks off. Try to keep his tracks off. Okay, there we go. And we're getting the damage in, but most importantly, just keep him stuck. Just keep him stuck. That 257 is doing nothing to help. He's just hiding. So the 257 is going to be next. And we have another rock over here that we can just kind of scoot over and plop my gun over the top. And lovely. Lovely. Now, the 257 obviously has tricky Soviet armor. I'm firing at the side, and I'm getting nowhere. And I did change to AP because I figured I had sides of tanks, and I didn't really need to keep flinging APCR. So anyway, that has bumped my score up to 4,533 damage that I know of, and 2,120 assistance damage. Much more of it spotting than you would have thought. One other thing I didn't mention when I went over it is that this also has the highest view range of all of my Tier 8 heavy tanks. So it's well over the 445 maximum view. So I'm going to pull in, reduce some camouflage and so on with that, not just pick up guys who are out in the open. Okay. Now, it's 11-4. This is about mopped up. And, we know that the A Phase 1 is up north. I would hope that a Scorpion and a Conqueror and a Scharfenberger and a Waffenträger Panzer IV would be able to take care of that. But the A Phase 1 does take care of our Scorpion. We've got a Charioteer out here. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get a shot on. Hope. Hope. Let's get the gun on it. And he's already dead, but I fired after he died. That's no good. I don't want to get shot by the Stritzfung again, so I'm kind of leery. I'm hoping to be unspotted, maybe take some shots at him, but the AE Phase 1 actually appears to be pulling up at the top of the hill and offering his bottom in sacrifice. So I'm going to fire at somebody's bottom rather than the front of the very slopey TD. And and somebody shoots him just before I get my shot off, so I get the kill. Sweet, I'm at 5. But at 14-5 and the Stritzfung running away, there's no way I'm going to be able to chase him down with all of those tanks well ahead of me. So that wraps up my adventure just over 5k, and I think I got a blinder in there somewhere. And I actually ended up bouncing close to 1,600 damage. That's really cool. The turret works. And 2,120 assistance damage, most of it through spotting and by pushing along at the right timing, something that is very hard to get right, and I only got right probably by accident. Anyway, let's go take a look at the post-game stats.